Yes. No more.
Now, other than, you see my things that I've got marked there in red? You got my things that are marked in red, but otherwise you should be at a window that looks remarkably like this. Does that sound right?
That's right.
Okay. So let me orient you. Up here you have add item. If you click on that, see what happens. Don't worry about adding an item, just click on add item and see what happens.
Could you click on that up there?
If he clicks on that up there, it won't
Oh,
do it.
I got it. I'm sorry.
I will click on it, but nothing will happen.
Yeah.
Johnny, you want me to drive from?
No, I want to be right here. This is very,
That's
very perfectly colored in the numbers.
So what happens when you click on add item?
What happens when you hit add item? You get lots of choices.
Yeah.
If this scares you, I'm going to tell you right now, you don't have to use them all. Use the ones that work for you. I'm going to walk you through them, but the point is, are there a lot of choices? Okay. Next to add item, you should see one that says theme. Okay, theme of plain. If you're plain, that's fine. I'm going to ignore theme for now, just for the purposes of time.
There are 97.
But you can put cute little backgrounds.
Wow.
Will that affect the success of your survey?
No.
No, but it won't hurt. The school one that gets used a lot is the white glue that's spilling out of the bottle. That gets used a lot in school.
Can I jump in?
There's one with a glue bottle, like
Yeah, I see
Elmer's
it.
glue spilling. That's very, very popular.
At the bottom.
Depending on the theme you pick, sometimes it'll funk out what your survey looks like, so it's fine. My students have some long survey names for their forms, and those kind of will bump into the text at the top, so play around with it, experiment.
Play with it, but before you go live, my advice is stay with plain for
Yeah, plain
now.
is a good place to
You want to save a little something for later to show how cool you are. So if you show all the coolness right away. All right. We're doing very well, right? Are we there?
Perfect.
Okay, next.
But John, there are 97 themes, and someone will look at all of them.
And that's okay.
You may only look at 3. Moving on.
Next item up here. I'll give you guys a second to collect yourselves. The themes are just as popular with you as they are with the kids. Once again, proving it's humanity, not an age range.
Very slow, John, on that one.
Yep.
Ooh, they changed it.
Yeah, that's what you guys, I'm just saying, we can get stuck on themes for half an hour and we will gain nothing.
Abandoned themes.
Abandoned themes. Yeah, back. There should be a button that says back.
I love my team. I don't want to abandon.
If it's pretty, it will take a long time to load, and there's 30 of you trying to load it, so nothing pretty.
But here's the point. We all know themes exist.
Yes, okay.
Okay. We can explore themes on our own time. All right, next. Now yours is going to look a little different than mine, but if you look right here where it says careful with these, see these boxes right here?
Yeah.
Now this is a fun box to play with. You're going to feel a little bit like God.
I do.
Require blah blah blah.org to sign in. Does that feel good?
Yeah. See, it's already.
Danger.
Danger, be careful.
Important to catch this one.
Look at the next one under it. What does it say?
Automatic collects respondents.
Automatically collects. Ooh, more godlike power. So if people from your unit, from your domain, log in and take your form, it auto-collects their name. They don't have to do a thing. Pretty important if you're doing a thing like a summary or an election or things like that. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
Now you heard us running around saying danger, danger. I'll be right with you. When you click that box, if you've embedded that in a form that you want people outside of your world to see, it will require them to log in to see it. So understand that when you are a godlike creature, you have these powers to prevent people. I learned this the hard way because parents would go to my webpage for my class and go, I can't get in. And it took me 4 or 5 weeks to figure out what it was. That was way back in 09. I've learned a lot since then. But you don't want to check that box unless you mean to. It feels good to say, yeah, make them. But what you might break down is if you're recruiting students that aren't in your department yet, it could be really awkward. You're going to get 100 emails saying, I can't get in.
Yep.
So you have to be careful with that box. Now, if it's something you're doing within your group, bam, 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 easy. But if you're going outside, that's it. And it's an easy to use thing. You check it or uncheck it. All right, next. See where it says untitled form? Put something in it. Doesn't matter what. Some people choose sample. Other people will use test. More creative people will say, this is fun. We don't care. You're not being judged on it.
Call it delete this later when you learn more.
Yeah. Delete later. Delete on October 4th. It's all good. Underneath of that box, there's one that says notes. Does that make sense? Now, the casual user of this tool will not do that. That raises the affective filter of the person taking the quiz. I always like to leave my people a little note of what we're doing. Why? They're more comfortable, I get better answers. I'm using the technology to do things I couldn't normally do. I can't do that on a Scantron. You can put notes on a question-by-question basis. Go ahead.
Quick little item to throw in there. You'll see an example later when we talk about sites, but my students do a survey project, so they have to create a form. Sometimes they're gathering data and they've asked someone to go to a specific website and use that typing words per minute thing to find out what their words per minute speed is. In this notes section, it will let you put a link to something and it will be a live link. In a question, it will not.
It will not.
So what the kids would do initially, this is how I found out. They would say in question 4, now I want you to tell me what your words per minute typing speed is. Please go to this website and only do this test to find out. It wouldn't be a link in the question. They had to, up in the notes section, say, later in this survey, it's only 4 or 5 questions, later in this survey, I will be asking you to do a words per minute typing test. This is the link you will need for that. And then in the question, they referred them back to it. So it's important to know if you want there to be a link, like John had a link to the article that, after Berthoud's What's for Dinner or whatever, that had to be up there. If it's in the question later, it doesn't become a live link. It'll show the URL, but they would have to copy and paste, and it's not very nice that way.
Now, I got something from the back from somebody else's domain, anonymous. But some of your kids are in 2 domains as well, right?
Right.
Yes.
So I'm going to say for you guys, at least for starters, what you're going to want to do is not check the require box. Now, if you've got a couple of hotshot students and you want to play with that and test it, that's fine. But I'd say for the highest degree of success, I would uncheck that box for now. Because realistically, going back to the Godlike powers, what are we forcing them to do anyways? Who cares?
Yeah. And like in the example that I mentioned, my students are gathering data. They don't only want to gather data from the other kids that go to school with them. I send it out on lots of different online methods, and people they don't know fill in their survey. If you require them to sign in, people they don't know can't fill in their survey. If they're outside of their domain.
Is that making sense? Now, I'm going to go backwards a tiny bit to go forwards a little bit. Remember when we clicked on add item? I'm just going to take you guys back through add item. Okay? Text, I hope that makes sense. Paragraph text is the same as the one we just did, however it is longer. They could do a pretty nice essay in the box they get from that. Next, you have multiple choice, and then check boxes, and then choose from a list. Now, these are important. Anybody done FileMaker ever or anything like that? Okay, these are important because, and I'll tell you, I can't do it from memory, but we'll find out by looking. Sometimes they can only choose one thing from a list. So that allows me to control the verbiage of the answers. The answer needs to be specific. Sometimes they can only choose one thing from a checkbox. And sometimes they can choose multiple things. That's the old A, B, and D are correct model. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on that either because it's a personal thing. The point is you have many options. If you want to be sure, multiple choice is a pretty easy step, and I've got another slide on this, but I just want to take you guys through this. Now, choose from a list is good, and then you've got scale. 1 through, and the default on scale is 1 through 5. This is me pedagogically, I don't do that. I always do 1 through 10. I'm going to tell you why. To a kid, what is a 3? Is a 3 a D? Or a C? When I do 1 through 10, they can give me a wider range of feedback. That's just me. But if I ask people how they like my class, and I get all 3s, I have a problem. Because I don't know if that's more like a low B or a high D. I don't know how they're seeing it. If I get all 7s, I know exactly where they're at. So that's an easy one. But the default is 1 through 5. And then you've got grid, and I wrote powerful and forgotten. And I'll show you a little bit on grid. It's also a little more complex. Don't want to spend a lot of time on it. We can spend half an hour on grid, but I want to give you guys an idea that exists. Grid allows you to do this. Metaphor, pun, analogy, alliteration. And then over here, quote from the story, quote from the story, quote from the story. You can do gridded answers. Or it could be football, baseball, and then ranked preference. So for like scheduling and signups, I want media first and I want band second. They can rank things that way. And so it's a multiple grid as opposed to just one grid scale. And then these are super handy that people don't look at, section headers and page breaks. So let's say, because I'm hearing about observations and stuff that you guys are doing, let's say the first 5 things are demographical, but you want to show a visual break into their responses. So you put a page break. And when you put a page break or a section header, you get a chance to put more verbiage. So it might say, congratulations for doing segment 1. Now for segment 2. So it gives you a little bit more control that way. Now, here are some of the buttons you guys should see. Okay. The pencil allows you to edit sample question 1. So click on the pencil and see what happens.
On the right, on the right, on the right.
Deploy the team. What's that?
Skip logic off multiple choice. Skip logic.
Create the
This is for the. I might even just do that. So if you get this, go to the URL.
No, like if they answer yes, go to this page. If the question is yes or no.
I'm saying it in a way. You can put it to a URL. The garbage can will delete the question. It's okay if you delete the question because guess what you're going to do? Add item. The little double thing, it's like a double, like 3 out of 5 Olympic rings. That duplicates. That's super handy for productivity. So let's say it's the same basic question 4 times. Duplicate, 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 duplicate. Change the header, change the notes.
And if you want to delete the duplication,
And if you want to delete the duplication, you go to the trash can.
I will just delete that.
Yeah. And I don't know if I don't remember if I have a slide for this, but if you have 2 questions, you can grab them and drag them into different orders. And you guys, we're almost done with the hardest part. This is about as hard as this gets. It really is about as hard as this gets. What I'm going to show you from here on out is some tricks to use it. So are we clear with this? We know how to make a form. We know how to make a new question. And we know how to pick different types. Now I'm going to take you into some of the details.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
How many of you have, in the purpose of your work, used like SurveyMonkey or Zoomerang and had to create surveys and forms that way? And then collecting data? Just a few? This is easier and freer, but
Yes.
it's not costing money. To get the good stuff with SurveyMonkey and Zoomerang, you have to pay money to get all that analytical stuff. This doesn't have quite the depth of analytical stuff, but this is right there and easy to embed into what you got. So this is not as complicated as those.
Yeah, it's super attainable. Now, see there?
Yeah.
One other thing in case I'm missing it. Do you see the part that says, it's right here, it's partially covered, make this required? Again, Godlike Powers Department, it feels great to check that. But if you don't think about what you're doing, what if you say this, do you want pizza for lunch? And that's a required question, and the person doesn't want pizza. It feels good to require them to answer that, but they're going to be a little baffled. So I do required on things like question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If it was a test, I do require. But if it's anything that has an opinion, I'm really careful to not make that required. And then sometimes you can solve that with a pop-up. So pizza, vegan, kosher, whatever the scenarios are. And then there's an other option, which is also delightful. Because that way you can be routine and handle the outliers in one box.
I didn't see pop-up on your list of adding items.
The pop-up.
You mean checkbox? No, choose from a list.
Choose from a list. They changed the choose from a list. Okay. Now, if you guys select multiple choice for me real quick, you can either use an existing question and make it multiple choice. You can change it midstream. Or they're free, like Diane said, make one more question and make it multiple choice.
Oh, that's how you ask the question. I was stunned because I didn't know.
Pay no attention to the map on the screen. So,
I'm making it 1 degree cooler. Is that okay?
I like that.
Not 2, but just 1. All right. I would draw your attention to this box right here. Does it say that on yours? Go to page?
Yeah.
Based on answer? We're not going to go deep with this. I just want you guys to know it exists. You know the choose your own adventure thing? That's what's going to happen. So if you say, are you a boy person? It goes over here. If you're a girl person, it goes over there. Now, in this particular group, I'm not going to take you to mastery on that. Okay? That's one of those things that you figure out 11 o'clock at night when you're having a good glass of wine and relaxing and you want to know how that works. We can spend a lot of time doing it.
But
But it's not that hard.
yeah, you have to, before you can say, go to this page or that page, you actually have to create those pages first. So plan it out, and then John showed you earlier the page breaks. You need to kind of put those in place and decide what they're going to go to, because it won't let you go there if there's nothing to go to.
So that's a backwards design thing. You have to, if you have a form that says everybody in the math department answers these 10 questions and everybody who's going to be in English does these, you make those sub-forms. And then you point at them. So when you check this box, and you can check it right now if you want to. Check this box, you get these options. And you pick the form you're going to go to. Again, I don't want to spend a lot of time on that because honestly, in a crowd this size, there's about 2 people that will actually use it. But it's nice to know that it exists because maybe 4 people will use it. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to make a grid real quick if you guys would like to do that. This is one we can do, and here's my model for you. Same verbiage. You can either make another question, or you can just convert one of your existing questions to grid. Alright, so I'm going to give you guys a second to do that. Now, this is very baffling to me because besides being colorblind, left-handed, right-footed, and dyslexic, I have things I battle. So I'm always saying to myself, which order do I pick? And I don't care. I just pick one, and if it's not working, I just reverse it. But in the model, I say, I want 3 columns, and I make cat, ran, and then in the rows, I make noun, verb, and conjunction. If you guys want to follow my model, that's fine.
Yeah, add an item, grid is one of the choices.
It doesn't even have to have right answers. It could just be ABC 1, 2, 3. The idea is to give you an idea. Now, the last thing I said, I don't think you guys will get this in this session. This one you can. This is doable. And if you don't like the way that it looks, you just go in and edit it and change it. Now, if you want to see how it looks when you're done, you just hit done. And it'll show you what the viewer's going to get. Are we doing okay? Pace lines and stuff?
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
It is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. Because like I'm thinking just in purposes of signups, I want first choice, second choice, third choice. You know, there's a lot of cool options you can do there. And what's even more important is if you guys get good enough at this to have your kids that you're in your class are doing it, imagine the permutations for that.
So this one is just radio buttons, it looks like. So basically, like one choice per.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay? Are we feeling okay with that? Now, if you guys can do that, you're ahead of about 70% of people that I've seen using Google Forms. Because I hardly see anybody do that one, and that's why I call it the powerful and forgotten form.
There's the form where you can see the summary on the spreadsheet.
We're working up to that.
That's
coming.
that's what
I
comes.
need to get rid of the spreadsheet.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's the Mystic Portal. Diane will help you.
Sweet.
And so it should look something like this when you're done. And remember, I'm dyslexic, so if I don't like it, the orientation, I just flop my questions and answers. That's all I do. All right, now, if you hit done on everything, you have a ready-to-go form. And I know it will be wildly inconsistent, and that's okay.
Yeah, okay.
They check that box. That's the godlike thing. It matters. You have to know, because you restricted it to those
Can I throw a little idea in? Actually, you haven't talked about how it goes to the spreadsheet yet, right?
That's coming up on the Mystic Portal.
After that, I want to make sure I let you know one
Okay.
pro tip.
Everybody feeling pretty good at this point? Now I'm going to have somebody who's mad dogging it going past already sent Jody a form. Jody's getting a pop-up that says you have to be a member of this domain. That's back to the godlike powers. If you check that box, you better mean it. Hey, she has a heart in her. Very cool. How'd you do that? That's cool.
That's right.
Now,
Survey class.
now from this point, it is pure academic creativity as far as what you want to collect and what it looks like. There's no right or wrong answer. It's what you need versus how you want it formatted. But there's a couple more operating procedures that will be very helpful to you. Are you ready? Do you see the button that says more? Oh, well, I take that back. Email this form, it feels good. It's a bad idea.
Oh, shoot it.
It's okay to do it. Here's why. If you guys all email each other a form, when it comes to you, it looks like spam.
Well, Alan, Jeanette, and John Littleton.
In your inbox, it kind of looks like spam. I'm going to show you what I do that's better. You can certainly do it, and if it's coming from Alice, and that means everybody reads the email from her, then it'll probably work out for Alice.
Listen to spam.
But when you're sending it to kids, it doesn't look important. It's very kind of formatted. So I don't use that one. But it's good. It's a good thing. The next one on this is, do you see the button that says more actions?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Okay. Click on more actions, and the one I want you to look at is, well, I'm going to talk about edit confirmation first. When people are done taking your survey, you can edit what pops up. If you don't do anything, it'll say, thanks for taking my survey. But for my class, where I have multiple step things to do, I'll say, now that you're done with this, go to this. And I don't think it allows live URLs yet, but you can at least say copy paste this and go to this. Give them a personalized answer. If you're going to bother people for their data, honor them by saying, I appreciate your data. Because it's very easy to saturate them with nameless, faceless surveys. Very easy to do that. Now I'm going to go backwards a little bit. Do you guys know what embedding is? Because that's a separate lesson we'll do live later. You guys know how to embed things?
No, that I want to know.
Okay, we'll do that later. It's really 2 clicks. It's copy paste.
I want to know what embedding is.
Yeah. Into YouTube?
Underneath it.
Oh. What we can do is, I can show you guys how to embed anything in about 3 minutes. Because once you're embedded, you know.
Good luck.
I emailed the form.
Now this is, when you send it to other people, you'll send it out and you'll do that.
It's very handy.
Okay, now, here's the Mystic Portal. Are you ready for this? People say, I've done the survey. Where the hell is my data?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I found it.
She found it, Alice found it. If you click on Spreadsheet, in See Responses, if you click on Spreadsheet, it'll take you to the raw data.
Yeah, that's what I just.
Oh no, here's where the Mystic Portal comes in. It's a 2-way transportation device. How do you get back to the form? Because that's the next question. I found my data. How do I get back to the form? Well, look in your spreadsheet very carefully.
Okay.
And there's a menu item that says Form 0.
Oh, I see that. Yeah.
Click on Form 0, see what happens.
Oh.
Georgia is so far ahead.
She's rocking this.
Look where she's already into the summary.
Nice. And isn't that great? I mean, you get data.
And
Now that's why we do this whole activity to get data.
every single one wrong.
So we need a reteach.
Have them help me.
Okay. Is that making sense?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the Mystic Portal. In Forms, you put C summary, you pull that down and it says show spreadsheet. In spreadsheet, and I can't zoom this right now, if you find Form 0, what do you think 0 means, you guys?
Start.
Nobody's taken the form yet. Nobody's taken it. So if you have 100 people you send the survey to, and it says 43, it is time to send the reminder.
Okay, Jeanette, you need a reminder.
And, yeah. Now remember earlier I was talking about real time, my reading quiz where I was seeing it come in real time? I embed my form in a web page. Don't worry about what that means yet. The kids are taking the form. I'm in the spreadsheet. I'm seeing the data come in as they hit submit. When they're done, let's say there's 23 kids in my class. When I get to 23 on form, I go, stop accepting responses, and we go through the data. Okay? So under that Form 0, here are the options. Edit form. If I want to go back and change the form, that's what I pick. Send form, that's to email it. It's fine to do that, but your results are not going to be good. Go to live form. This is what I was leading up to. When I'm going to distribute a form to people, I go to the live form and I copy the URL at the top. I make a custom email for that group and I say, people, I would love for you to take my form. I might put in an inline picture of what the form looks like, and I would say at the bottom of the page, click this link. Very customized feed. So that's what go to live form, that's why you have that function, is you have the ability to send somebody the URL of the form. Forms work on iPhones and iPads. I don't know if you can create them on those, but they work on those. Okay? Now, show summary of responses, we already talked about that one, right? If you want to, if you've got any data, click on yours. You will get an immediate list. For every data-based box, you're going to get a pie chart or a bar chart. Now I get this all the time. How do you change it? I don't know.
You don't?
You don't get a choice. They give you what they're in the mood for.
Oh.
How do you print that? I don't know. They don't have a choice for that. If you're on a Mac, you can screenshot it. Apple Shift 4 or Command Shift 4. That's how I get it out. So, and it's one of those funny things. Google just didn't tell us. That you just don't, I guess. And then the next box here is accepting responses.
I got one.
If you want people to stop sending or answering this quiz or assessment, you check that box. The checkbox disappears. They can't take
It's done.
It's done. You can lock it down. Now for us at a high school, it is so great to do class elections this way. Why? I automatically collect their email name. I can require them to be in my domain, and I can stop it at 11:59:59. Bang. And if somebody's phone calls because he didn't win, I can print her the list.
That is something, yeah.
Very, very easy. Here, I'll print you the whole thing. Yep.
I might have missed my chance, but I do want to let you know, you saw how a spreadsheet is generated by the form you create, right? Is that what you just talked about? Okay. If you make changes to the form after people have begun using your form, it can act funny in the spreadsheet. If it's, oops, I left out a comma, or I spelled a word incorrectly in a question, and you change that, it won't really be an issue. If you change the type of the question or the order of the questions, now your spreadsheet's going to start behaving strangely, and it could be a minor inconvenience or it could be a major hassle.
I'll give you an
Really
example.
depends.
We have an independent study high school that we work in our district. 50 of the parents did the form. The other 50 of the parents did the paper. So the secretary manually put in their data. Guess what? Doesn't show up in the summary.
She added to the spreadsheet? Or
Yeah, she added it to the spreadsheet manually. Now, the data's still there, and they can still make charts. It's just that the fun charts are gone.
Yeah.
The data's valid, so don't get into a scenario. You want everybody going through the form, and you don't want to change things midstream. You want to get it all settled in. When I'm doing big ones, what I always do is I'll send it to somebody like Diane and go, take the form, and she'll say, what the heck's going on 3? It doesn't even make sense. Fix that. Then I send it to everybody. So you want to test drive, you want to test drive.
And there will be a few things that you will need to learn by trial and error and
Right.
frustration, just like everybody else in the world. And it's okay, really.
I do a half-a-day demonstration on how to collect data.
How do you know who responded?
Okay, and depends.
Well, 2 ways. One is you check the box that says automatically collect. The other one is you have a box that says first name, and you have a box that says last name, and you make it required. And could they lie? Yes.
It's
Could they lie on paper?
Yes, and where did you see it in the report?
Well, if my first two, generally my first 2 questions
Yeah.
when
You'll be right in
I
there.
ask my students something is, well, my first 3 questions are always, what is your last name? That is a text question. Second question, what is your first name? That is a text question. Third question is either multiple choice or choose from a list or something like that. Which class period do you have technology? Because then I can sort, when I get in a spreadsheet later, I can say, only show me these, second period, or sort by which.
And here's an example. I've learned this the hard way. First name and last name are separate questions, because then I can sort. It feels good to do one, but at the end, if you're collecting for 400 people, you can't
Because I
know why
don't care
yet.
how old they are. If you say last name first, which is easier to sort by, half of the people will have trouble. They're not sure what their last name is. They'll be like, wait, I put my first name first. Well, that's not how it worked. I asked you to ask them for separate questions, much easier. People will still do it the opposite, by the way.
We have continual battles with, is 1 better or is 10 better? And I literally label it, because you can label on the scale. This is horrible. This is the best ever. And they'll still go and put 4. I'm like, why'd you put
On a
4?
scale of
I thought it was pretty good.
They'll still-
Did you read it? No. Oh, I bet 6. You know, so that'll happen. That'll happen. But the trick is to sort out outliers. Now, the first year our high school existed, we only had 30 kids. And we did the first safety survey, and one kid gave us a 5 out of 10. And the principal and I were coming unglued. It was like, oh, we're only getting a 5 out of 10, and we've only got 30 kids. How are we going to do this with 500? So we just went to the kid and said, why was it a 5? And he goes, oh, this school's great. I would have gave my whole school a 1. So to him, it was way better. But he was an outlier. I only got 1 like that. If you've got 15 out of 30 doing that, that's a different game. So you got to watch for outliers. And what I like to tell people is, they're the vanguard. That's the beginning of losing your school culture, is the outliers. And then they're also the laggers, because they don't know the real story. So you got to kind of moderate that. Okay, are you guys still in spreadsheet view?
Yes,
Yeah.
See where it says share?
yes.
Find share and spreadsheet. Not the Gallup sings the Indian nation song from the 70s. Not that one. Don't sing that song.
Too late.
She's a big karaoke person. Okay, when you click on share, S-H-A-R-E,
Under fund.
you get some cool choices. How about this?
Well, I just sent it to the people in my circle who didn't realize they were in my circle, so thought we were just.
Because I'm like, what's that?
Notify me when any changes are made, when anything is changed, when collaborators are, when a user submits a form. Anytime somebody completes one of these forms, you'll get an email. And then some people say, but I don't want email all day long.
I like that last rep.
And then down here, email, you can get a daily digest or right away. So if this was a discipline thing, when would I want it?
Right away.
Right away. If it's a homework collection, I'll take once a day as fine. Did you guys find that okay? Kevin and Ramon, you can help.